Hello everyone, this is Jay Coder back with another stream, and today we're going to be going over CSS and HTML. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and without further ado, let's get started. And as you can see here, I have Visual Studio Code open, and I'm going to go over a little bit of preliminary things about CSS. So, first of all, what is CSS? It stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's used to format the layout of a web page. With CSS, you can control the color, font, the size of text, the spacing between elements, how elements are positioned and laid out, what background images or background colors are to be used, different displays for different devices and screen sizes, and much more. And so there are three things that three formats you can have CSS. One is inline. By using the style attribute inside HTML elements, and don't worry, I'll show you an example of each one of these as well. And the next one is internal. By using the style element in the head section, for example, and external by using a link element to link to an external CSS file. So those are the three ways that CSS can be used. And we've already been doing some of these, such as inline and internal, in certain previous tutorials. But this one is going to more in depth for CSS. I'm going to go into more in depth with CSS in this one. So the first example is going to be inline CSS. So inline means you go ahead and apply the actual styling of the CSS on the same line. So for example, let's say if I wanted to make a little section here in H2, and then to use the CSS, I just have call the style right there, and then let's say I want to set this to a color, and you've probably already seen this before, especially if you saw previous videos of mine, and then you can say this. Well, an orange section. So, all right, now I have the test page here. As we can see, this is my HTML CSS website, and see this H1 here. It correlates with this title here, and this second line here where I applied the inline formatting is right here, an orange section. So that is an example of inline. And so you can do that with, different HTML tags. Like here's a different one, a paragraph P tag. And you can also, apply a color to it as well. And so you can see it's not just with like the H1 or H whatever. It's any of the HTML tags you can apply the inline styling to. And hello there. This is my paragraph that is purple. And let's see how that looks. And so that is what I get for that example there. And all right, and so let's go ahead and move on to internal CSS. So internal CSS means the CSS will be, for instance, in the header tag. In this particular HTML example, I need to create the header tag. It's actually head tag without the ER. Head tag is what it's actually called. So I make the head tag after the HTML tag here, which HTML is pretty much the start of the whole HTML code, and then it would be body. But in between the HTML and the body, I'm going to place the head. And then after you place the head there, you will go ahead and apply your style tag here. And so this is how you would implement internal CSS. And then after that, in order to apply some styles to the overall sheet, you will need to do a little bit differently of formatting where you'll have the, like, for example, you can put in, like, if I want to refer to the complete body, I can go ahead and reference body there like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply probably a background color. So we're going to make the complete body black. And so next, let's say I want to have all H1s by default to be, let's say, do we have like a dark red? All right. And then the all paragraph tags will, within this internal CSS declaration, will be, let me see what kind of, and by the way, these are actually the curly brackets, not the um, regular parentheses. But so I'm going to put the color here, and inside this, I'm going to say, is there something like tan? Is there light? Coral? Is there? I'll put orange. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to go ahead and erase our, well, I'm going to comment out our inline example so you guys can still look at that. I'm going to delete our comments of our CSS introduction. And so I'm going to add right here so you can see, for instance, we already have a H1. So we look up here. H1 is going to be dark red. And so let's go ahead and add a P. And so after we do that, this is our P tag section. Guess what color I will be. So, as you can all see, I'm going to add the P section here. And so, guess what color the P section is going to be? So, let me go ahead and show you guys what that's going to look like. And so, this is what it looks like. If you guessed the P was going to be orange, you were correct because we set the P to orange in the style portion here. And our title is the dark red. And our background color is black. So we set the complete body in the HTML tag to black. All right. And that's how that works. And gonna check, can you all see that? And looks like you guys are still good there. And so the next thing is we're going to add is an external CSS. And the way external works is you will have to make a separate file. And in that separate file, that's where you'll set your CSS. So, now, first of all, do you see over here inside our VS Code, we can go ahead and hit this plus button here to add a new file. And we're going to call this style.css. Styles.css. And then we're going to create that. And then we have a brand new file here. Our original file that we were in is this index.html. That's what we were in just now. But now we made also a new file called styles.css. Now, within the styles.css, let us go ahead and add some styling here. So in here, I can say, and also pay attention to the syntax so that everything will be good. So, for instance, if I wanted to apply something to the body, I would go body and then curly brackets, and then inside the curly brackets, I would go ahead and apply my styling. So I'm going to set the body background color to, let's see, what's a interesting background color that I can try? Let's go ahead and set our background to green yellow. And now, so that's going to be our body. And now, let's just go ahead and set our H1. So our H1, let's see, color. We're going to set our H1 color to maybe something like blue violet. So we're going to set our H1 to blue violet. And then we're going to set, such as our paragraph tags, we're going to go ahead and set this to, we're going to set the color here. And what color we're going to set that to? Let's go ahead and set that to blue. All right. Now, these are the styles that I have in styles.css. So I'm going to go back to my index.html, and inside my index.html, I'm going to go ahead and link the style sheet to this HTML file. So I have these, remember, this one, putting the styles in the header was called internal CSS. So now we don't want these to conflict. So I'm going to go ahead and comment this one out because this what we're going to use is the one in the file there, and in the file there we have our external CSS, which will be different colors. And now what we need to do with external CSS is we need to link the file. So to link the file, we begin with link here, and then one. Okay, all right, that's fine. So we begin with link here, and then we do REL, and then that's going to be equal. This is going to be styles sheet. So make sure to put styles sheet here when you want. Actually, you don't need two S's, just one S to include this when you're going to include a style sheet. And we're going to do an href, much like a link. And then that's going to be our styles.css. This has to be the exact name of what you name the file here. So this doesn't necessarily have to be called styles. You can name this anything you want. It just needs to match the exact spelling of what you have in your same directory. And so make sure if it's styles, make sure you include the S. If it's style, remember don't include the S, but make sure it's spelled the same way or else it will not work. So let's close that off there like that, like so. And now let me go ahead and save those changes. Now take a look at what this is and take a guess where these three colors will appear. And so I'm going to go ahead and test it out. And let's go ahead and see what happens. All right. So my website has changed. The background is, let's go ahead and go to our CSS. And then I'm going to bring this over here. And so this H1 is blue violet actually. This P is the paragraph tag with this being blue. And this background color is green yellow. So I made a separate file and linked it in the HTML file in order to apply those styles to my website. And so that's how you do external CSS. And so now you can also do different types of CSS, not just colors. You can have things like font family and font size. So, for instance, I'm going to add some things to my styles.css. And so, for instance, I'm going to add a font to my body, which let me go ahead and do that. Font family. And then I have a range of fonts here. Let's go ahead and add let's actually go ahead and okay. All right, so we have that. Let's go ahead and select that one. And so that's going to be our font. I'm going to set as our font family. And now I'm going to set the, well, okay. I can go here. Let me go ahead and set the font size. Well, I want to keep my font size the same there. And let's go ahead and increase this font size to 200%. Okay. And for each line of CSS, you will need to end it with this semicolon. And I would like to change this color to a different color, such as, let's go ahead and change it to salmon. And all right, let's see how that will work. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And once you make changes to this, and you already have it linked to here, it will automatically be able to change. So let's go ahead and check out what that looks like. And then here you can see our website on how it looks. And you can see the font has changed, the color has changed, and the size of our paragraph has changed, which I have changed, just finished changing in the HTML file that I was in. And so that's how that looked. And so we can also do borders, such as, for example, I can come back to my styles.css, and then for instance, inside my paragraph, I can set a border here, and I'm going to set the border to be 5 pixels, and then it's going to be a solid border. And then let's see what kind of solid border we're going to have. I'll go ahead and set it to that color for the border. Then I'm going to close that off with a semicolon. And then I also want to apply padding. So so you can see what it looks like when we actually apply padding to our paragraph tag. And I'm going to add 30 pixels of padding. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to go ahead and play that so that we can see how that looks. So what we have now, is actually this. And this is our border. And this is our text inside the border. And then this is our padding, we added 30 padding to our text so that this text won't be hugging up against that side. Let's see what happens when we remove the padding there. So let's say we want to remove this padding and go ahead and apply that. And so it actually doesn't look right when we don't apply padding. All right. And so what we can do is we can also apply a margin to it. And so I'll show you guys what that looks like when we apply the margin. And so let's see. So over here, we can go ahead and say margin equals, let's say 30 pixels. Okay, so we have a margin of the 30 pixels. Let's go ahead and see how that looks when we do that. And so I'm going to go ahead and show that there. And so now you can see that the margin is actually going to be this here. So the margin applies to the outside of it, and the padding applies to the inside of it. So I wanted to show you guys that example. And so there are many different properties with CSS. So go ahead and experiment and with different properties in CSS and play around and see how you can adjust your test website. And all right, that's what I wanted to show you guys. That's what I wanted to show you guys today, and I hope you guys learned something today. And thank you for watching. And always stay coding. And until next time, peace.